Good morning, everyone. How are we today? Okay, here we are. And it's Monday. Oh my gosh. It's Monday morning. Oh my gosh, we're December already. December the 7th. Wow. Time has just flown. This year has been very interesting, to say the least. Anyways, yeah, December 7th, 2020, here we are. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of little things here. We have some chickpeas or garbanzo beans, if you want to call them that. And we have some rice, and we're going to make little plant-based meatballs or non-meatballs. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to, because I just have a... I think you guys can see this okay, yeah. I only have a little tiny food processor because it's just the two of us, so I don't usually need a big food processor. I actually had one, and it was just too big, too cumbersome to clean. And I really love this. This is a little KitchenAid, and I'm really, really impressed. I haven't had it very long, and I think it's like totally super awesome. So we're going to go a little bit at a time. And yeah, so everything, just make sure everything's washed and cleaned. And I did cook the rice last night. Really important to know when you're cooking the rice, any rice, it cannot sit out. I always thought rice was a fairly safe thing, until I took Food Safe. Yes, it's a very dreary Monday. It's very rainy out there. But once I took Food Safe and found out about the rice is actually one on the higher risk list of the Food Safe. Everybody knows like eggs, mayonnaise, and milk products and that kind of thing are, pretty high on the danger list. But if you leave rice out at room temperature, it actually grows bacteria, which I took Food Safe like, oh my gosh, I don't know, at least 15 or more years ago. And that was one of the things that surprised me. So in case you don't know, as soon as you cook your rice and you serve it, put it, let it cool, to whatever, look on the Food Safe, but let it cool enough to put it in the fridge. But put it in the fridge right away. Don't let it sit out for a few hours, and certainly don't let it sit out overnight. So this was cooked last night, and then after we ate, I put it in the fridge. And the garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call them, they were soaked yesterday. These were from dry. And I soaked them to get rid of the lectins. And so the lectins are those indigestible, it's the indigestible parts of protein, I think it is. And if I remember correctly, but anyway, it's lectins. And so when you soak them, it releases and removes the lectins, and the more you soak and rinse and soak and rinse. So I soaked and rinsed these a couple times yesterday, and then I cooked them this morning, and then after I cook them, I rinse them again. So the lectins is the reason for the gas and the bloating and the indigestion with any of your legumes, beans, lentils, some of the grains as well have lectins in them too. So so that's the reason for soaking and rinsing is to remove those lectins, because it really helps to eliminate any gas and bloating with beans. I think typically chickpeas are one of the easier ones to digest, as opposed to like a kidney bean or something like that. But still, it's a good idea to soak and rinse and soak and rinse. And so I put them in the Instant Pot this morning, and this is going to be the main part of our ingredients. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to switch this up a little bit and add a little bit. I might need to use a spoon. A little bit of the chickpeas without throwing them all over the floor, although I'm sure the dog would love them. But for right now, I'm gonna aim for the bowl. Although we are very much used to me spilling things everywhere because I'm cooking sitting down, which is not the normal thing to do. See, there goes the rice all over the place. That's all right. Okay, so you guys know that I'm terrible for measuring. That was a cup and a half of cooked chickpeas, and this is like a firmly packed cup of rice. in case you want to know. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. I just lost a little rice into the bowl here. And it doesn't matter either because you're never going to see that in these little meatballs anyways. So we're just going to go like that. If you had a bigger food processor, you just throw the whole thing in there. I could have done this with the Vitamix too, but there's a lot of, you know, scraping down the sides and that kind of thing, which tends to get tedious, especially when you're making a video. So we're going to do that. We're going to add, this is just a granulated garlic. I love the garlic. I'm going to add that granulated. I'm going to also add a little bit of, it's just granulated garlic with no salt. It's just garlic. And this is just granulated onion as well. I do find if you buy the granulated onion dried, I find it's very strong. Like I can add tons of garlic and it tastes just amazing. But the onion, if you add too much, it tends to overpower in some sort of a negative way. It gives an overpowering kind of a aftertaste or too strong of a taste. So just be aware if you are using powdered onion or granulated onion, it does tend to, a little goes a long way, basically is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I am going to add some coriander as well, and look for the right side because I don't want to put too much in. I'm going to add some of that in and bring out some flavor. And I'm always wanting to add cayenne, which this isn't the cayenne, this is the cayenne, but I'm getting low on my cayenne because it's always nice to have that spice, and the cayenne's so good for your blood pressure and your circulation. And I am gonna add just a little bit of smoked paprika, or you could use a if that comes out. Never put your spices over the steam when you're cooking because that's what happens. Yeah, so a little bit of smoked paprika. If you wanted to, you could add turmeric. It's going to turn them very yellow, and I think for this particular recipe, I don't really want them too yellow, and so I'm not going to do that. I am going to. This is our beautiful fermented salsa that we made the other day. So we made the salsa, added just a little bit extra salt, and I have left it out on the counter. I don't know when was that, last week. So this is like 4 or 5 days of fermenting, which really brings out that amazing flavor. It just pops the flavors out, and it's so good for you. The fermented foods are so important for your intestinal health and your gives you the natural probiotics. And so I am going to add a I don't know, I think I'm going to add a heaping tablespoon of that to it. Now, in this case, I'm not going to add extra salt because this does have a little bit of salt, and I'm not really after too much of a salty flavor with these little plant balls. What I'm after is more of a garlic flavor. I am going to add a little bit of nutritional yeast because that's going to give it a little bit of a cheesy flavor as well. And so that will make it super yummy too. So, I don't know, a heaping tablespoon. But I don't want them too cheesy either. I want them more garlicky. So I'm going to go with a levelly heaped tablespoon of the nutritional yeast. And yeah, and that's it, right? Yes, that will be it. Okay, so we're just going to blend this first batch here. I have the cayenne. I could add some black pepper, I guess. You know, season it however you want. Hey, hi, Manek. Nice to see you this morning. You know, if you wanted to go for a, you know, I would love to add more of a curry, you know, or Indian spices to this. You could make it Moroccan, like a Moroccan meatball or plant ball. We made those Moroccan Mediterranean potatoes the other week, last week I think it was. And so you could add those spices too. What I'm after this is my my homemade spaghetti sauce, and so I kind of want them neutral, just garlic, although we can certainly try them in different ways with different spices, so feel free to just have fun and experiment. So we're just going to Get that locked in. Okay, so, and that's one of the things I didn't want to, come on. I didn't want to put it into the Vitamix because it, you know, it'll just do that, right? It'll just come right up. I'm thinking, you know, at this point, I think I could add a little bit of water to it. So, I think of so many things, like so many things go through my head. I can add all kinds of things. I have walnuts here. I could add walnuts to it. Maybe I will add a few walnuts. Let's see. And, yeah. And so, easier to push it down in this than it is with the Vitamix. So I'm just going to try and gracefully, my little bunch of silverware here. I'm going to gracefully push this down, and I think I will add just a few walnuts. And the other thing you can add is breadcrumbs, which we do have some. I'm just going to add a few for flavor and texture. You can add breadcrumbs, and last week we used the breadcrumbs for the eggplant, sort of an eggplant parmesan, and I used homemade gluten-free breadcrumbs that I had made myself and ground up. So I'm going to add a few of those too. Why not? You know, so just feel free to play with it. Might end up needing more water now, but that's okay. Let's give this a try. So, you know, you just have to be kind of easy with, you know, being open to whatever it is, right? So that's definitely blending a little better with the water. And I'm not going to be too picky on this. If you wanted to use Vitamix or a blender and scrape it down and make it really, really more doughy, then you can. But I think I want these to have texture, you know? And so, let's have a look here. Oh yeah, that's better. Much better. Okay, this is looking pretty much perfect. So, I'm going to, I might have more than I want. I might not make a whole nother batch because it's looking like quite a bit actually, you know, because it's just the two of us. So, okay. And I am not, just my disclaimer for every day that I'm on the Facebook Live, I am not a professional cook. It's quite obvious. I am a certified herbalist and a natural health consultant, and I work with a lot of people for their health and with herbs and nutrition and that kind of thing. And I just do these healthy recipes on Facebook Live to share with you guys. Just people wanted to know how to cook healthy, and I have a lot of pictures of all the food that I make on my Instagram and lots of videos on my YouTube channel. And people want to know, you know, I don't know how to cook healthy. How can I cook healthy? And so that's kind of what this is all about. And you know what? If I made that whole nother thing of meatballs, we'd be eating meatballs for quite some time. Which makes me think of another thing. You know, I just so randomly think of things, and I think, well, I wonder what else I could do with these meatballs. So if I was to make the other batch, and to you know, I'm just thinking shapes, right? What else could you do with this? So I have not done this before, and that's another thing with the Facebook Live, is that I do a lot of recipes that I've never done before, and this is just an experiment of trying different stuff. Which reminds me, oh my God, the marzipan that we made on Friday, oh my God, they are so crazy good. That turned out to be one of my very most favorite recipes. If you like marzipan, this is the easiest thing in the world to make. And I think it took us, what did it take us, 5 minutes, not even 10. And the flavor is like, it's almost perfect. Like, I mean, I want to say it's perfect, but I hate saying that anything is perfect, because then people strive for perfection, which sometimes makes people feel like they can't do it, you know, because they're afraid of not doing it right. In my world, I don't strive for perfection or doing anything right. I try my best for the highest purpose and the highest good of all. But I don't put those kind of perfect stresses on myself. But honestly, those are perfect. They were so good. It turned out amazing. I was so impressed. Like, oh, I just about ate the whole bowl when I finished it. Okay, so these guys are pretty soft. I do have clean hands. Make sure everything's clean. Your rice is clean. This rice needs to go back in the fridge as soon as I'm finished. And I mean, everything should anyway. But I'm going to give these guys a try just to see if I need to add more breadcrumbs. Okay. You know, I am going to put them in my homemade spaghetti sauce. So I don't want them to, I don't know. What's that going to do when it actually cooks? Oh, I forgot to tell you what we're going to do with these. Okay. I'm going to do a few without extra breadcrumbs just to see how they turn out, because that's how you learn, right? You learn by giving something a try. And if it works, that's awesome. And if it doesn't work, then you know, you can try it, or you can do it differently. So we're going to put these in here. Okay, so this is definitely looking like I'm not going to make another whole batch of that. Unless I can, once I cook these, once I see what the texture is, I might make another batch and then shape it into something else. Like, you know how some of those, where should I put this? How some of those substitute meats are. You know, if you're trying to get into a plant-based diet and you want the, you want something that tastes and looks like meat, but you want to be healthier, because so many of the meat products have, you know, hormones and chemicals and pesticides and all that kind of stuff, and then a lot of people can't digest protein very well, and so it's really it's a good alternative, and especially for the animals, right? So what was my point? Oh yeah, so I wondered if I could put this in a different shape. You know what, I'm going to do 2 of these without, and I'm going to put them on the side, because I don't want to forget, if they cook up better, being mushier or a little drier. So let's do 3 of these, and then we'll add breadcrumbs to the other ones. So the other thing that we're going to, that I wanted to mention to you guys are just to double up on your, okay, now I'll add some of these breadcrumbs. Whoops. Double up on your immune system, herbs, you know, when you're, hey, Terry, nice to see you. We're making plant-based meatballs with chickpeas, rice, and a little bit of the homemade fermented salsa, and walnuts, and a little nutritional yeast. And now we're adding a few breadcrumbs. So, yeah, you need to prepare for, especially here, we're in a little bit of a conundrum here in the town that I live in. But anyway, yeah, make sure that you are upping your vitamin C. Take your vitamin C, natural source vitamin C, vitamin D, super, super important. Your zinc, really, really important with your zinc and your, did I say vitamin D? Vitamin D is like seriously super important. And they're saying to take quercetin with your zinc. So, you know, just information, right? You always advise or inform yourself, not advise, well, inform yourself and then advise yourself to, you know, as to what's best for you, you know. So if you're on medication or you have certain health issues, then you need to find out what's right for you. You can't just, you know, randomly start taking a bunch of supplements from the health food store. If you are on other medication, you need to really check that out and find a licensed health practitioner to help you with that, so that you don't have any contraindications or interference with mixing drugs and herbs or supplements. But yeah, so, and things, don't forget about those things, you know. If you have a lot of mucus, you know, runniness, terrible thing to say when I'm cooking. But if you do sage, and you should really make sure you get some fresh sage. The sage, if you've got sage in your cupboard that's like 5 years old, go get some new stuff. And sage is very drying. So it really dries the mucous membranes. It dries up that mucus, and and you can tell when you drink it in a tea, and that's what I'm talking about, putting a little bit of sage in hot water, making a tea. You know, it's not the best flavor for sure, but if you have a few sips of that, if you're having a lot of congestion, it will dry the mucous membranes out. Now, speaking of drying out the mucous membranes, you don't want to do that if you are already dry. So what they're saying now is, you know, I work with a lot of, because I'm a certified licensed herbalist, I work with a lot of people with getting updates on what's going on, what the symptoms are, and what people are going through and how to help. And so unless you're super mucousy and you're trying to dry that out with sage, you need to keep your mucous membranes very, very moist, because that flushes everything out. So that if you were to inhale a bacteria or a virus or an allergy or anything, if you're to inhale that, it's your mucus that flushes it out of the body, right? So and fluids. And so yeah, so make sure that you have enough moisture in your body to flush those things out. So if your house is really dry, you really should have either, I mean, you don't have to go out and buy a humidifier, but if you have one, turn it on. If you can afford to get one, get one. If you can't afford to get one, just boil water, simmer it on your stove all day. If you have a wood stove, put a pot of water on the wood stove all day, just to simmer and get some moisture into the air. And that is also a good place to put your sage. So you can put sage in the water that you're simmering all day, and you can put bay leaves if you have fresh bay leaves. Bay leaves are so antiviral, anti-inflammatory. They're fantastic in a tea. I just can't say enough about bay leaves. You should look up the properties. We did a discussion on that a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what, but I went over the list of properties. I just know, anti-inflammatory, good for the throat, good for the respiratory, and pain relieving as well. I have put bay leaves in my pain relief salve that I've been making. So been making a pain relief salve that's been going really well. People are really enjoying it and finding it working with, it has bay oil, sage oil, the wall lettuce that we talked about this summer. The wall lettuce has opioid type properties, so it's very pain relieving. And so I put the wall lettuce oil in as well for the pain relief, and that is in the salve, right? So that's just to put on you, as well as some, a few essential oils and cayenne for the heat. So you've got like that, that typical icy heat a little bit, but not too much, because some people don't do well with that. See, I have way too many meatballs for all these. Can you guys see that? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's move these little guys around. I might have to put them on a cookie sheet. So basically, my plan is to kind of go like 375 for 15 minutes, and then turn them over, and try and get them to brown. As you noticed, I have not added any oil to this at all. So, I'm not sure exactly, but I may have to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the dish. We'll see if the first turnaround starts to stick. Like I said, it's an experiment. We're not trying to make this perfect on the first go, because that's how you learn. So, oh my God, I'm always learning. Okay, so anyway, yeah, it'll be really interesting. If you wanted to, Another thing you could do is typical, like a regular meatball. We could have added onions, we could have added carrots, we could have added parsley, we could have added yeah, all kinds of vegetables and stuff like that to these too. But like I said, I'm kind of after a I want to find out what the pure, this just not much spice, just mostly just garlic, and find out what that's like, because if it turns out the way I want it to, you know what, I'm going to make this long, because what I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is, wouldn't it be cool if you could make like little fake chicken wings out of this? That would be really cool. And then you could do like a teriyaki sauce or whatever. I'm going to make a couple flat ones here and just see if they hold their shape. Well, one flat one and one skinny one. Okay, you guys, so definitely get your sage and get together your other herbs that are really good if you have a sore throat, starting to feel like you're catching a cold, or, you know, heaven forbid, anything else. Ginger is really good. Ginger and honey is really good. Ginger, cayenne added to your tea is really, really good. The sage is really good. And if you want something else that's very soothing for the respiratory tract, that pretty much everybody has, so you don't need any money at all, is take some cedar. If you have, well, not everybody has cedar, but even fir. If you have an evergreen tree, organic, wild evergreen tree that hasn't been sprayed or anything like that, then put a little bit of that in your water too. It has all kinds of minerals and healing properties. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. So yeah, I think that's it. I showed you the fantastic marzipan. Honest to goodness, if you like marzipan, you need to make that recipe. You can go find it on my YouTube channel. I might just separate it out from, because I usually do two things at once. I might separate that out so that you can find it easier. But it is awesome, crazy, amazing. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 11. Take care, stay warm and dry, and I look forward to your comments and suggestions for other things for us to try. And hey, Kathy, hi! You'll have to watch the replay. We just finished making plant-based meatballs, and I think they're going to be really, really good. Lots of different ideas to do with them, so check it out, and check out my Instagram and my YouTube channel, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 11.